Greetings, my excellent friends. It is Monday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. Bummer. 2021, and it is a bummer. It's Valentine's Day 2021, as just before I got ready to sit down and do this video, got news that Ivan Reitman, the director of the original Ghostbusters movie, and the father of Jason Reitman, director of Ghostbusters Afterlife, Ivan Reitman passed away unexpectedly in his sleep, and that's a big one. He had a massive impact on me, you know, with Ghostbusters and other movies that he did, but mostly Ghostbusters. In fact, let's say this if this Twinkie represents the normal amount of impact that a movie director had on me, Ivan Reitman would be a Twinkie 35 feet long, weighing approximately 600 pounds. That's a big Twinkie. But I don't usually do movie reviews because I don't know how to do them or why to do them. But I did finally today get a chance to see Ghostbusters Afterlife legally in Japan. Came out here in early February after having been released in much of the rest of the world back in like November, which when a lot of your movie kind of hinges upon one moment, I don't know that a 3-month delay is a great idea. So like I say, this was the first time I saw it legally in Japan. I did buy the Blu-ray, and I picked it up digitally before that, and I did watch it once before that as well. But anyway, went to the movie theater today, largely so I could get this program. As probably 3 of my 12 viewers know, I collect these movie programs. I did a review of the original 3. Yeah, I said it. The original 3 programs a while back on my channel. Basically, every movie that comes out in Japan gets one of these souvenir pamphlets. This one's pretty cheap. It was only 800 yen. It's got most of the promo photos you've seen elsewhere, interviews with the cast and creators, and also, just to taunt me, all of the merchandise that was available, that none of it was for sale at the theater that I went to, which is a bummer, because I could have used a new Ghostbusters keychain, and you never have enough stickers. But none of that stuff was in stock. But I did get this program, so now I have all 4, that's right, all 4 Ghostbusters programs for my collection. And this one, infuriatingly, is a different size and shape than the previous 3. Those were like A4 sized, and this is like a square bound, not quite album size, but you know, small album size thing. So like I say, I don't usually do reviews. I don't know how to review a movie. I just want to talk about stuff that I like, and that's my thing. Like when I talk about almost anything in entertainment, it's because I like it. If I don't like something, I tend to just kind of ignore it. Again, as far as entertainment goes, I'll talk about politics that I hate like forever. But like as far as entertainment goes, if I see a movie like, oh, well, that wasn't very good, all right. I know that guys like the Nostalgia Critic and the Angry Video Game Nerd and those guys have made a career on taking stuff they dislike and reviewing it in entertaining ways, and that's kind of the thing. Entertaining ways. They find ways to make their negative reviews fun and interesting. Dude screaming into his video camera about how much something sucks or how ass it is or what have you. That's not immediately funny. That's not automatically funny. I feel like a lot of people watched those early, AVGN videos and thought that the screaming and the profanity and the anger was what made them funny, but in fact, they were very well written. So yeah, since I'm talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife, I enjoyed it. I did. I thought it was really good. If I had to rank the Ghostbusters movies on a scale of 5 stars, Ghostbusters, 5 stars. It's to me a perfect movie in that it does exactly what it wants to do. Every joke lands. Sci-fi stuff is perfect. The characters, what we do learn about them is enough to enjoy them as characters. It's just perfect movie. Ghostbusters 2, meh. it's fun. It's a fun movie. 2.5, 3 out of 5 stars. Ghostbusters 2, I think, kind of suffered from coming out after a few seasons of the real Ghostbusters. So I think a lot of people, especially in my age group, wanted to see a more real Ghostbusters type thing when Ghostbusters 2 is very much just a sequel to the original movie. They even go out of the way to say that nothing happened in between the first and second movie. They could have been like, all the real Ghostbusters stories sort of take place in between, if you squint a little. But no, they were just like, nope. Fought Gozer, got blamed for it. No one believes in ghosts anymore. Now we're getting the team back together. So like I said, yeah, 2.5, 3 stars. Ghostbusters 2016, it's fine. I do like the director's cut. The director's cut is, if you haven't seen the movie yet and you want to see the movie, watch the director's cut. It's better. 3 stars. Totally fine. But as I've said before with stuff like RoboCop, if you're gonna remake or reboot or whatever one of the greatest genre movies of all time, just fine is not enough. Ghostbusters 2016 did not deserve the hate that it got, and I would have loved to have seen it spin out into like a cartoon series like the real Ghostbusters or the Extreme Ghostbusters. It of course did not, and that's kind of a shame because again, all the characters it was a very character-driven movie, and it was a lot of fun, especially the director's cut. Which brings us to Ghostbusters Afterlife. And since I'm talking about it, I liked it. I would give it 4 stars. 4 out of 5. And there is no movie that could have possibly been made in this or any universe where most fans would have been like, oh yes, this is as good or better as good as or better than the original Ghostbusters movie. That could not happen. Ever. Not in all of Doctor Strange's 15 million alternate dimensions. Would not happen. So what we've got here is, I'd say about 3/4 of the movie is a really good movie that stands on its own as a new thing with a whole bunch of in-jokes and references to the original. And then about 20 minutes of nostalgia. Not necessarily the best done nostalgia. Obviously, that nostalgia stuff was there for people like me, Like I like watching the first 2/3, first 3/4 of that movie. I was really impressed that they developed these new characters really, really well. I mean, Callie, who we find out is the daughter of Egon Spengler, is great. She's a single mom. She's great. Both her kids, Trevor and Phoebe, are just fantastic. Like, let me say, all of the child actors in this movie absolutely kill it. Like they are just. When I first heard there was going to be a kid character named Podcast, I was kind of like, oh, what are you doing? But hey, he's great. He's Ray. He's the Ray. All of the characters were fun. They had fun personalities that I really enjoyed. Gary Gruberson was, I mean, Paul Rudd's great in pretty much everything he's in. The townspeople were fun. It's not cynical at all. Like they, some of the kids working at the diner kind of give Trevor a hard time, but they're just having fun. They go out to the mines later, and just it's fun. It's good character driven fun. It felt in line with a lot of what you saw in the first two Ghostbusters movies. And then it just is just like, okay, well, you like all this? Now here's where you better have done your homework on there is no possible way to watch this movie having not be like intimately familiar with the original film, because like I said, it's the better part of 90 minutes of new characters, and the stuff with Egon is kind of introduced slowly, and fairly well, with the chessboard and the uniforms and the fucking Twinkie. But it's all done great, and then it's just the last act of the original Ghostbusters again. It's marshmallow mess and terror dogs and that weird uncomfortable keymaster gatekeeper thing. There is no da-da-da, only Zool. It's Zool again. Are you a god? And blah blah, which is fine, but it went from being a follow-up to Ghostbusters to just now it's Ghostbusters again. And of course I got a little choked up when I saw Ghost Egon, with that little musical cue where he's helping his granddaughter. But man, I'm still saying 4 stars. But he stuck around for a while after that. They show his hands, helping her to steady the proton pack, the neutrona wand. And you're thinking, are they gonna show his face? Are they gonna? And yeah, they do, and then they hold on it, and then he gets a moment with Peter and Ray and Winston and his other grandkid, and hugs his daughter, and then that, and I liked it. I'm 40. I've waited my whole life to see Egon on screen again, and believe me, I never thought I would get to see Harold Ramis's Egon on screen again. That I was pretty sure that wasn't going to happen. So yeah, I got a little choked up watching that, and it was like, oh, it's great, but So you've got a movie where about 90 minutes of it are for new audiences, but the last 10 minutes are exclusively for people who are very, very familiar with Ghostbusters. Like I don't know any kids who went to see this, but I would be very interested to know what their reaction to that was. Now, I've said before in some of my other stuff that I don't think that movies necessarily have to answer questions about characters that are not important to the story being told. Like I pointed out that Star Wars didn't tell you basically anything about anyone other than what you needed for that story. You didn't know who or what the hell Darth Vader was, or what an Emperor was, or any of that, because you didn't need to know it for that story. And they kind of take this approach to Egon and his daughter, in that you're left with some questions. Like if you're around my age or older, maybe a little younger, I don't know who you people are. You're people who have grown up with Egon Spengler as a character. I had to be thinking, like, when the hell did he have time for, like, not only to have a family, but then to leave that family? And how old was Callie when she had Trevor? Because like, okay, so Trevor's 15, so it's like, unless it was like one of those like 16 and pregnant type things, and by the way, it could have been. You don't know that. That it's not. I mean, that happens. So that's fine. But if you really like think about it, you've got to understand that Harold Ramis, while he was separated from his wife, did father a secret daughter that people didn't know about for a while. But my personal headcanon is that because it's shown in the original 2 Ghostbusters movies, women like Egon. They're interested in his epididymis. So that's fine. So maybe, he had a fling with a woman and had a daughter, and she just didn't tell him. Maybe he didn't know about it until later. Maybe he didn't know about it until he had already left for Somerville. Which, by the way, Somerville, oh my God, that's so great. Somerville, summer. Gozer is a Sumerian god. The town of Somerville was founded by Ivo Shandor, Gozer worshipper. That's good. So I think what they want you to assume for Egon is that he had a daughter. They don't say that he left them specifically. Callie says that she never met him. So it's not like she grew up, and when she was like 5 or whatever, Egon took off. She never met him. So it's entirely possible that, maybe the woman that, maybe her mother was married, and Egon, I don't know. Probably not, considering her last name is Spengler. But yeah, I'm just guessing that it wasn't really like a committed long-term relationship. It was probably just a thing that happened. Egon didn't know about it for a while, and it clearly he was interested once he found out. And he must have had some communication with the mother, because he had all these pictures and stuff of her. So she must have continued to keep in contact with him in some way. And maybe, yeah, maybe Egon was just a complete bastard. He's like, yeah, I don't want anything to do with you, but, hope not. But yeah, the only way that it makes sense that he has all of these, pictures and things is if he was sent them by, Callie's mother, unless he was like flying a drone or some shit around in like the 90s and like, spying on him, which weird. Yeah. So yeah, that was the big thing. Was the first time I saw the movie. I was like, well, what about the mother? And then I actually thought about it for a couple of months, and that's what I got. That we don't know who the mother is because it doesn't matter, and we don't know why Egon never made contact because it doesn't matter. Just the only thing that matters is that he never knew his daughter. His daughter certainly was hurt by that, but that's what we know. And guessing that when he went off to Somerville, he was not in regular contact with basically anybody. That was a heartbreaking conversation with Ray, for a couple of reasons. He starts, Egon Spengler can burn in hell, and then it's like, he died last week, and he's like, oh man, and that just goes away. Ray not only kept the phone, like the Ghostbusters phone, but he kept the phone number. Like, Phoebe doesn't call Ray's occult. Phoebe calls the Ghostbusters phone number from YouTube. So, like, he kept that number. Much like in Ghostbusters 2, that they kind of go out of their way to be like, oh yeah, nothing really happened in between then and now. So, it's like, yeah, Ghostbusters 1 happened, maybe 2. Then we hung around for a little bit, and Peter went back to academia, Winston became a billionaire, and, I'm doing Ray's occult stuff. So, not a terrible thing. But yeah, there's a lot to unpack, and I'm gonna amend my 4-star review as not necessarily a sequel, as a follow-up to Ghostbusters, as like a coda. 4 stars. It is a worthy, in my opinion, and my opinion means nothing. In my opinion, it is a worthy end to Ghostbusters. As a reboot, introduction to the franchise, what have you, not so much. 2, I think 2 stars there. Because, yeah, if you haven't seen, if you're not very familiar with the original Ghostbusters movie, that last hour, or half hour, is, yeah, that's gonna be whoosh, just right over your head. Of course, saying that, kids have Google these days. Kids can find out if they want to. But I just, when Force Awakens did something similar, they never went so hard into nostalgia. I mean, there was stuff where even if you didn't know at the time you were watching it, you could still enjoy, like lightsaber. Okay, we know it's Luke's lightsaber, Anakin's lightsaber, what have you, but also lightsaber. We didn't need to know what the whole deal was in A New Hope. We don't need to know it now. You figure it out. You could enjoy Force Awakens as its own thing. I don't think you're going to get that with Ghostbusters Afterlife. I think if that's your introduction to Ghostbusters, you're probably not going to have too high an opinion of it. 4 stars for me, 2 stars if I was gonna take like one of my little nephews or something to it, and they hadn't seen it yet, but I'm not, and they have, so meh. Been talking about this for 25 minutes. So what's next for Ghostbusters? That's what I'm wondering. Hopefully, as far as movies go, nothing. Ghostbusters was one perfect movie, and then a bunch of movies that were good. Comics, however, from Now Comics and from especially from IDW, those are some good Ghostbusters stories. Cartoons, the real Ghostbusters, for the first 4 or 5 seasons, excellent. Extreme Ghostbusters, fantastic, just wonderful stuff. I'd say if you're gonna continue with Ghostbusters, do it in cartoons, do it in comics, do it in a fucking Netflix series or something. Like, I don't feel like we need to go to the theater to enjoy these characters anymore. Just don't. The sci-fi horror action comedy thing is being done extremely well in TV with shows like Stranger Things, and I'd say let it stay there. You don't need $100 million budget for Ghostbusters. I mean, you can do the proton pack effects with store-bought editing stuff. You don't need it. Honestly, Ghostbusters Afterlife probably could have benefited from being, a 6 or 8 part Netflix thing, more so than its own movie. See, this is why I don't do movie reviews. But that's about all you're going to get out of this from me. I waited. I saw Ghostbusters 2 at a drive-in movie theater opening night in what I think was 1989. It was their opening night. My dad took me to see it because I was a huge Ghostbusters fan. Took me to a opening show even though he was sick as a dog. And I remember thinking, oh, that's... I mean, at the time I thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in my life because it was one of the first movies I ever saw in a theater. But also thinking it was like, oh, right, this isn't really real Ghostbusters. But yeah, from 1989 to 2022, when I got to see this one in a theater. It's over 30 years. 30 years. I waited to see the Ghostbusters on screen again, and it's nice. It's nice to see them on screen again. But I don't think I need to do that anymore. I don't think fans need that anymore. I mean, movie theaters are a pain in the ass these days. I mean, Star Wars is killing it on TV. Everything else is doing great on TV. Make your Ghostbusters Netflix show. Make your Ghostbusters Amazon Prime show. It'll be fine. I don't know that it's, I know there were some people who were saying like, oh, you can't do a sequel, because they're still kids. And sure you can. Stranger Things. Scooby-Doo. It's fine. Phoebe's Velma. He's a, student who's smart and techie. Great. I don't know how this movie did. I don't know if it made enough money to, fast track a sequel or anything, but I liked it. I've bought it a bunch of times now. Glad I saw it. Don't know how often. It's certainly not going to get watched as much as the first one, going forward. But a good movie. As a hardcore Ghostbusters fan, I'm glad it exists. I'm glad they finally did this movie, and I'm so glad that they said that Jason Reitman made this movie and kind of worked through some of the stuff with his dad. But now that Ivan Reitman has, sadly passed away just in the last 24 hours. I'm very, very happy for them that they got to do this together, and hopefully, gives Jason Reitman some closure on things of that nature. But much like this is considered the third official Ghostbusters movie. This is actually the third time I've recorded this video, and it's gotten better every time. So I'm gonna call it there. It's been fun making this. Take care, everybody. I never know how to end these things, so I'm just gonna do it. Thank you all very much for listening. If you do want to chat with me about Ghostbusters stuff in the comments or on social media, please do. I'm always up for that. Until next time, and I know I say this in every video, I'm really trying to get these out on a more consistent basis. But life and all that other stuff. So thank you all very much for joining me. It's always been my pleasure to rant at the camera, behind the camera for you. Take care, everybody. Happy Valentine's Day and happy hobbying.